The end of the Michael Thomas era for the Saints is here. We are here with DaBoot Tragedies. Ladies and gentlemen, it was first reported by Jeff Duncan that the Saints plan on releasing Michael Thomas. Now, there was some controversy or controversy, some people would say, with this report. So Michael Thomas was not happy with Jeff Duncan. Straight up cooked Jeff Duncan. I'm not totally sure what it means that he looks like a guy who takes salt, but that is not what you want to hear. Out of control, wild times to be Jeff Duncan. Like, imagine seeing your phone, if you're Jeff Duncan, just sitting at NOLA.com or whatever, and you're like, man, my phone, hey, I'm getting some notifications. My Twitter, I must be getting a couple new followers. Let me check Twitter. Oh my God, not good. So tough day to be Jeff Duncan. We're going to watch this video from DaBoot Tragedies and kind of talk about the Michael Thomas era, the ups and the downs, how he's perceived by the fans, all that stuff. So make sure to go in the comments below and let me know exactly what you think about the Michael Thomas era. Speaking of the comments, I cannot wait to show this. So this comment was on the video we did with Wi-Fi Willie, or reacting to the Wi-Fi Willie video about Dave Ziegler and Derek Carr. Look at this comment. Good thing about Wi-Fi is he doesn't do fake live reactions or squeeze in a cringe pause every video. Then I say, wait. You think I watch videos first, then watch them again for the reaction video? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the unbelievable example of how far ahead we are, how far ahead of the game we are, that people watch these videos and they think that we are watching the video first, thinking about the reactions, thinking about what we're going to say, then re-recording the video, re-watching the video, and then perfectly timing up all of those already planned reactions. Let me make this clear. Play the music. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never reacted to a video I've already seen. I have never ever planned a reaction. I've never ever planned what I was going to say. I have never ever watched a video twice on this channel, and I promise to you, the viewer, I never will. Every single reaction, all analysis, everything you see is with no notes, unedited, first time, as live as not live can be, as live as a YouTube video can be. That is my promise to you. That is the whole point, that we are doing this totally unprepared. No notes, no nothing. And we're still doing it at a higher level than anyone else. So that is my promise to you, the viewer. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to the video.
Okay, some news that broke that wasn't supposed to cause a panic, hysteria, anything like that. The Saints are expected to release Michael Thomas. Not even expected. The Saints are going to release Michael Thomas, but it was a one-year deal. We all know that, but let's just kind of talk about it.
100%. This should not have been a surprise to anybody. Okay, we all know what was going to happen. We all know what the Saints are doing. The writing was on the wall / Twitter for most of the season. This should not come as a surprise. Okay, we knew this had to happen. Personally, I wish Michael Thomas the best. I have no problem with Michael Thomas. He was a great Saint, had an incredible peak. I mean, Offensive Player of the Year, set NFL records, was a part of some of the best Saints teams we have ever seen. Okay, so all of that, kudos, congrats, great player for the Saints. I wish him well wherever he goes. It doesn't matter to me. I think what happened with Michael Thomas and the fans is, I think Michael Thomas fans do not like when players don't play. And injuries, things like that happen. They're out of the players' hands. The players can't help, an injury here or a bad circumstance there. But the fans did not like how vocal Michael Thomas was while he wasn't playing, which is kind of a gray area. Just because a player is hurt doesn't mean they should also not be able to speak about the team. Michael Thomas spoke very candidly about how he felt the team was playing, how he felt the team was being managed, coaching, and everything. I mean, he was very outspoken. That rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, which, it's one of those, I don't blame the fans. I don't blame Michael Thomas. I think it was a bad couple of years here optically for the injuries, combined with the tweets, combined with the Kenner police, combined with all that stuff, just made it look like much more of a toxic relationship than I think it really was. Hopefully the fans, and I'm not saying we should throw a parade for Michael Thomas, but I'm just saying I think that there was peaks and valleys for sure, but I would hope the fans can remove themselves from the Twitter timelines and remember a lot of the great moments too.
Before we get into the Michael Thomas situation, we'll talk about his contract. For the ones that are new to this or surprised by this was always going to happen. So the Jeff Duncan report that's coming out, it's pointless, to be honest. This was always going to happen. Now the Saints reworked Michael Thomas' contract from the original contract basically to a 1 year, $15 million deal or a $10 million deal, I believe, something like that. He had $5 million signing bonus, $10 million guaranteed. So they reworked that deal with a 1 year deal, and basically, if you just go look at his contract details, he had a $2.2 million roster bonus, and if Michael Thomas was on the roster March 15th, 2024, $119 million becomes guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the NFL season, someone double check me, I'm pretty sure the NFL season starts March 13th, I believe.
Now, obviously, we're not going to guarantee 31-year-old Michael Thomas, who's rarely played the last 3 years, $119 million for one season, or however long it was going to be. That was just never going to happen. That was just numbers, fudging the numbers. Kai and Mickey Loomis doing what they do to work the cap.
Taysom's very similar. Like Taysom's deal when it first came out, it was something insane, but so much of the contract was tied into these quarterback incentives. The contract, when Taysom first signed it, it was basically like pretty much if he was a top 10 starting quarterback in the NFL, he would get the contract. That was never going to happen. So this is why I keep stressing that the salary cap and contracts do not matter. People 3 years ago, or whenever Michael Thomas signed the contract, saw Michael Thomas signs $150 million deal, whatever. Then throughout a couple of years and a couple of restructures and all that stuff, it just then turns into a 1 year, $10 million deal with a $2 million roster bonus, and he ends up getting released. Like, that's why it's so pointless to get caught up in what the current contract is, what the current cap is. No matter what, they will find a way to maneuver it and restructure it and make it work. So I do agree with this part where Jeff Duncan's tweet made it look like the Saints wanted to release Michael Thomas, when in reality, it's almost like Michael Thomas's 1 year contract is up. The plan is happening. It is what it is. So that's where I think Michael Thomas pushed back on it, is that he thought it sounded like basically the Saints are done with Michael Thomas, the Saints are releasing him, when that's really not what happened. What happened was they had a pre-planned 1 year contract. It's about to be over, and that's all she wrote.
So this news coming out, it just shouldn't be shocking to anyone. I don't know why everyone's in the uproar about this. Obviously, Michael Thomas responding to Jeff Duncan. Hey,
roasted him.
It is what it is. People feel the way they feel about Jeff Duncan for a reason. I have no thoughts on Jeff Duncan. I don't read his stuff. I don't pay attention to Jeff Duncan stuff for the most part. But
yeah, I'll speak about this a little bit so y'all know my time as a crime reporter, my time writing for a Pulitzer Prize winning newspaper. I used to do this. I didn't cover sports, surprisingly, but I used to do this. I did the newspaper thing. I have nothing against Jeff Duncan. I don't know Jeff Duncan. I don't read NOLA.com, bottom line. I don't get my information from those sources. But I understand those entities, those publications, newspapers or beat reporters or all that stuff, they are fighting an uphill battle. They really are. They just can't compete with the new wave of information and how information is being consumed by the viewer. I get so much more news, like Saints news. I get so much more news from the Saints, or about the Saints, from New Orleans.football than I do from NOLA.com, WDSU, all of those combined. That's just how it is. People do not read the newspaper. People do not pay $3 a month to have a subscription to these newspaper websites. It just is what it is. So it's kind of an unfortunate thing for beat writers. There are some really, really good beat writers out there. I would 100%, tell you, if you're interested in a team, go find the beat writers and you'll know which the good ones, who the good ones are. But I would tell you that most of their information and most of their content is on Twitter. Like, that's where the beat writers now make a living. The beat writers, their whole thing now is Twitter. Writing a 1,500 word article, no one's reading that. Give it to me in 150 words in a tweet. Give me that. I can't read your expose on whatever topic it is. So media is shifting. Sports media is certainly shifting. And I think we're all watching the same things, so we all know which way it's going for sure.
Michael Thomas feels the way he feels. So in the 2024 year, it doesn't automatically void. The only reason why this is news and he's getting released, hand quotation, because it doesn't void automatically. If it voided automatically, then we wouldn't be having a discussion like 2025, 26, 27. Those are automatic void years. 2024, the Saints just have to go in and void it themselves.
Right. So basically what he's saying is if the Saints don't do anything, then it doesn't automatically void. The Saints have to go in and manually void / release Michael Thomas for the void to happen. Whereas in the other years, it would automatically happen. So this is the technical, like deep salary cap, like trickeration. That's what you're seeing right here. The fact that it's getting publicized the way it is leading to a lot of confusion, which is why I always say that get away from the cap. Get away from talking about the cap because it's very confusing, it's very detailed, and if you don't really know what's going on with the salary cap, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a salary cap expert, but if you really don't know what's going on with the cap, and you just see a headline that says Saints release Michael Thomas or Saints give Taysom Hill a 4-year, $80 million contract, you can really wonder what the hell the front office is doing.
So it's seeming like he's getting released, but he signed a 1-year deal, man. Everyone knew that, so he was always going to be released this upcoming offseason. Now, let's talk about this for a second. It's been a lot of Michael Thomas. It's basically 50-50 in the fan base. Oh, he's a crybaby. Oh, he's always hurt. Oh, he does this, he does that. Or whatever you want to say. And it's the other side of like, Michael Thomas could do no wrong, this and that. And I think it falls, I won't say somewhere in the middle. I'm on the side of 80-20 on Michael Thomas' side. 80 to Michael Thomas' side, 20 towards the team side on this. If you
I'd say I'm probably 65-35, quick maths, on Michael Thomas' side. I do agree optically it has not been great. It's not optically a good decision to tweet during games or to tweet at players or to tweet about players or to tweet about coaches and all that stuff while you're still on the team. And while you're hurt, you have to understand that if you do that, the fans will rub fans the wrong way. No doubt about it. Like that, it's nothing wrong with it, but you have to understand the consequences if you're going to do that. On the other side, I don't think you can ever blame a player for getting injured. I don't think you can ever blame a player for playing, getting injured, and missing time. It is what it is. Michael Thomas doesn't want to be injured. He doesn't want to be missing years out of his prime. So I think fans who are, labeling him as somebody who had, a good year, he was nothing but slant routes, and then he never played again. He was a crybaby and all this. Like, I think that's unfair. I do. I think it was a perfect storm where injuries happened. The Saints weren't as good as they once were at the same time of his injuries. He got paid at the same time of his injuries. Then the tweeting stuff and the off-field stuff, and there was just a lot of turmoil going on. But, so I would say my review of Michael Thomas as a Saint is positive with some caveats of, optically wasn't awesome. But I'd say 65-35, I'm on Thomas's side.
You want to call it a messy breakup. Now, let's go back to the original injury. Michael Thomas is in, maybe like 2 minutes and some change left. The game is over. The Saints are running the ball. He gets his ankle rolled up. It's football. Everyone says he shouldn't have been out there in the game. You can argue that, but it's football. You can get hurt on any play.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, when you come back for that injury, I don't think he does surgery initially. He tries to play, tries to make a Super Bowl run that sets him back maybe a year or two, even more at that point. So you can't blame him for trying to go out there, trying to give Drew Brees, Sean Payton one more run at a Super Bowl with the team that was already aging. Hey, I commend you for that. That's all credit on my end. It's all credit.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that he really kind of risked his career, and we'll see how it all plays out. But for the I'll try and give it, we might be able to win here. I'll try and play through it. Ends up re-injuring himself or making it worse or whatever. I'm not a doctor here, but you could argue that him trying to play is what really kind of gave us these like couple of years of injuries.
Credit on my end. Now, then obviously there's been some things. He's tweeted some things out, and it's hey man, people gonna tweet. He's an emotional player. That's what made him so good. Has a big ego. That's what makes him so good. None of these things are problems. But I can understand how some of the fan base is turned off by that, especially people that never played before, people that just don't understand. but you also don't see everything that's going behind closed doors. I don't either. And obviously, it's something there with the team, with him, with Sean Payton, with Dennis Allen, with Derek Carr. We can all see that by the tweets, and I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, don't like make players stop tweeting. We get an inside look on how they're thinking instead of people just coming up there and not saying how they feel. I would rather much Michael Thomas tell us exactly how he feels than someone to get up there and lie. So, like I said,
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I get the devil's advocate would be don't say anything. Just keep your mouth closed and do your job. That's the other argument, right? The argument is we don't need to know whether you like someone or not, or whether you agree with the coaches or not. Sometimes the best thing to do is just put your head down, go to work, do your job, right? A lot of fans fall in that category, which I totally understand. I'm kind of in the middle on that with athletes. Like if I was a Golden State Warriors fan and the Warriors are on a 14-game losing streak and Draymond Green is pumping out a podcast every week and he's voicing his opinions and all this stuff, I would be agitated at that. It's certainly within his rights. It's certainly, no fault to his own. It's one of those like no harm, no foul, agree to disagree things where it would rub me the wrong way if it's in the past, it's rubbed me the wrong way with the Saints where the Saints will be struggling, we won't be good, and then I'll see like one of our players on Mark Ingram's podcast. It's like, hey man, this isn't the time. The optics aren't great. We just lost 35-3. Like I don't want to see clips of you, ranking what starter Pokemon you would use on Mark Ingram's podcast. Like it's not a bad thing that you're doing it. It's certainly your right to go do it, but optically as a fan, it doesn't look right. So it's one of those where, again, I don't think anyone's in the wrong, but it is a messy situation.
And I'm more 80-20 Michael Thomas out on this, man, but you won't hear a bad word from Michael Thomas out of me after he's gone.
Yeah.
Won't hear a bad word on Michael Thomas. When he was out there, it was a pleasure. When he was out there, the best in the business. I had plenty of arguments of Michael Thomas being the best receiver in the league, and they're not just going to forget that ever happened just because it didn't turn out well. Yeah, we signed him to 5 years, about $100 million. It didn't work out. Hey, shit happens. Yeah. I would rather much give him that than to give a quarterback $150 million that, never mind. We're not going to go down that road.
I mean, Michael Thomas was a superstar. Like, no doubt about it. When he was setting the NFL records, he was as good as the receivers that we see now, the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chases and all that. Like, he was doing things we had not seen a receiver do. Now, yeah, he had Drew Brees throwing to him, but it doesn't matter. He was really, really good. Offensive player of the year, all that stuff. So the injuries happen. It is what it is, no doubt. He was exceptional. He was electric. Is he the greatest Saint receiver to ever live? On a very small, like on a 1 year basis, yeah, probably. As far as a career, probably not because of the injuries and all of that. But for one time period, for one moment in time, a snapshot, for one season, he's the guy. And I think it's really strange whenever I've heard some people say, and it just shows you how split the fan base can be. I've heard some people say, if Michael Thomas goes to blank team, I'm going to root against that team. To me, that's crazy. To me, that's insane. Michael Thomas was here when he played really well. Really well. I mean, we're talking about, again, Offensive Player of the Year. Been here his whole career, did what he did for the team, didn't work out, now he's going somewhere else. I don't think you can fault the guy for that. If you don't personally like him, whatever, but to root against him because he's going somewhere else and it's kind of a questionable breakup. Same with like CJ Gardner-Johnson, people who are like, oh, I just won't be able to stomach if he gets a ring after, he said all this stuff about the Saints and whatever. It's like, once a player is out, once a player is gone from the franchise, to me, it's move on. It's move on. It's on to the next one. Fill the position. Let's go. Let's get ready to the next season. So I just have never understood that. I've never understood the hold a grudge. I've never understood the, to me, that's like sour grapes, I guess. So hopefully we don't have a lot of that. I know there will be that, especially on Reddit and whatnot, but to me, it's like kudos, tip of the cap. Thanks for playing. Thanks for your contributions. You're not getting we're not raising your jersey to the top of the Superdome. You're not getting a parade. Best you get is a handshake and a job well done. That's it. And then we're on to the next season. That's how I look at it.
But no hard feelings. Obviously, this release was always going to happen. Now we will talk about some things, man. some things that Michael Thomas said. I actually want to pull up the Michael Thomas tweets because I want to.
Oh, is this the Jeff Duncan cookathon?
Exactly
is this the Jeff Duncan grilling?
Because I think it's some interesting things.
Hey, speaking of interesting things, if you're still watching the video, you may be interested in this. At the end of this video, and at the end of quite a few videos this week, I will show a trailer with a channel update. And it's not really this channel update. It's an update on a bigger picture situation. We are really expanding. We are going to introduce 4 new channels across YouTube. We are going to really try and dominate the content creation landscape moving forward. If you have followed me on Twitter, you will already know some of this, but this is the official launch week. So at the end of this video, there will be a full explanation to what I'm talking about. So stick around if you're interested in that.
That he said. I think it's very interesting. Hopefully he didn't delete them yet. Going to his Twitter right now. I think it's some pretty interesting Michael Thomas tweets. One in particular that I'm really interested. All right. Jeff Duncan, I'll read this quote.
Absolutely.
Jeff Duncan funny.
Ooh.
How they planning on releasing me if I was on a 1-year deal? Don't fall for it. He the same.
All right, I'll help you out. I will post the actual tweets on the screen right there.
Dude that tried to be my friend in season after saying I wasn't the same player in training camp. Next topic. Now let's go through this. But I just said, how are they planning on releasing me if I was on a 1-year deal? That's just a fact. He was always on a 1-year deal. It was never a 2-year deal. They were never picking up a $120 million option or anything like that. So this
basically what they did was, and we've all done it. You've done it. I've done it too. They basically entered an agreement with a streaming service for the free trial, knowing they were going to call and cancel the day before the free trial ended. Okay. So Jeff Duncan would be spinning that, and we're about to go deep down the metaphor rabbit hole. Jeff Duncan would be spinning that as James Skrmetta ends Paramount Plus subscription because of bad service. And I would say, had nothing to do with the service, my man. I just wanted to watch Yellowstone. I finished watching Yellowstone. I was always going to cancel it before it renewed. So, not really. That's basically what's happening here. Where Michael Thomas is saying, they're not releasing me, they're just releasing me.
News that Jeff Duncan's putting out, I think it's for show. And he's kind of right. I think it's just for show because he can't really release somebody that's wasn't going to be on the roster. Yeah. That's just no.
Right.
Then the next tweet, this is where it gets a little fireworky for me.
It's a little personal.
Jeff Duncan is a hoe. Trying to stay relevant, so let's speak on it. The Saints leak information to him trying to ruin players' value, but see, I'm not broke, so I can speak on it. He's broke, he need clicks. Go look at all his articles that never end up being true. That's a lot to unpack there.
That's with everybody, though. Again, this happens. I'm not saying the team released this information to Jeff Duncan, but teams do release information to beat reporters for leverage, for sure. I'm not saying it happened in this situation, but it could have happened in the past, no doubt. Happens all the time, 100%. Beat reporters and reporters in general do report on things for clicks, 100%. Again, I worked in the newspaper industry. We would tweak headlines for clicks. We would run stories for clicks. It happens. That's what they have to do. On that, it just is what it is. That's how they provide value, is by trying to find stories that people find entertaining. Jeff Duncan and the good folks over at NOLA.com probably know, hey, if we put Michael Thomas as being released breaking news, it's going to be clicked. It's going to be read. We need clicks. We are struggling. James Skrmetta is taking all of our views. Everybody in New Orleans is watching James Skrmetta's content, and nobody is reading articles on NOLA.com. That's what they're saying in their daily meetings, at their 3 o'clock meetings. They're sitting there drinking stale coffee, talking about how in the world can we compete with this guy? And this is their answer.
It's a lot to unpack there. Obviously, he's taking shots at Jeff Duncan out the gate. I don't care if that's between them two. Yeah. Now, the key part that I care about, Saints fan, the Saints leak information to try to ruin plays value. Now,
yeah, that happens.
You can look at that either way. I think the Saints are just leaking information to him. That's obviously he has some scoops sometimes, and And maybe I don't think they're trying to ruin players' value. Maybe when they're free agents, maybe. But he also had an article out maybe in January, December, somewhere around there, where he said the Saints should get rid of Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore. Now, all the Saints, leak that to him, and then they're going to try to trade Marshawn Lattimore. You don't want to ruin the player's value that you're trying to trade.
They don't always. Okay, let me. So they don't. Jeff Duncan. I'm saying Jeff Duncan, but really it's all beat reporters. 100% of their content isn't driven by the team, but sometimes the teams do drive content for leverage. For example, like this year with the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears could leak to a beat reporter that they're interested in taking Caleb Williams. Why would they do that? Because then it drives up the trade value for the pick, right? Because then someone might say, oh man, if they're interested in taking Caleb Williams and not keeping Justin Fields, we want Caleb Williams. So if we want to trade, now the Bears can look like they have more leverage, right? So that's an example of how they would do it. Or vice versa, whatever. They could say, the Bears could say, they could leak, we're not interested in we're not interested in Caleb Williams because we love Justin Fields. Why would they do that? To drive up Justin Fields' trade value. So teams do this all the time. And it's not just teams. It's agents. It's players. You don't think Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, all those guys, you don't think that these player agents aren't tied into them? Ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you, agents are sending more stories to ESPN and Fox Sports and whoever than anybody else. Agents drive this. And again, speaking from being in the industry, this kind of like information leaking happens so much. So this is definitely something that happens.
It would just be idiotic. We've done some idiotic things, but I don't think we're that stupid. The part about him being broke.
Another example, Kyler Murray. When Kyler Murray, the Call of Duty thing, whenever it was leaked that in his contract, it had that the Cardinals wanted him to spend more time game planning than playing Call of Duty, I would bet a hefty amount that was leaked by the Cardinals because the Cardinals knew that was probably going to get taken out of the contract, so they wanted it to be public knowledge. They wanted the public to put the pressure on Kyler Murray of, we know you're playing Call of Duty. We know you're trying to prestige. We're watching this now. So that was their way of putting the pressure on Kyler Murray of like, hey man, take this serious. Do the film, do all that stuff. Don't worry about, live streaming. Don't worry about playing, capture the flag or whatever. Don't worry about that. Worry about the team. I would bet a ton of money that the Cardinals leaked that story.
And all that I don't care about. But they say go look at all his articles that never end up being true. There's some truth to that. He's missed.
The Niners last year, when it was leaked that multiple teams had called the Niners for interest in trading for Trey Lance, I would bet two things. No teams called the Niners, and I would bet that the Niners leaked that to try and drum up interest in Trey Lance.
Sometimes. He's missed sometimes. Then he had one more tweet. Look at this clown. Y'all think he no ball? Yeah, right. Y'all really clicking links to what he writes? Good luck. And then he said, look like he take them salt things. I don't know what Michael Thomas talking about on that.
I don't even know what that means. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know what that means. If he means he takes like salt pills or I don't know. But that's a shocking thing to say. Like to say like this guy looks like he takes them salt things. Damn. What is going on here? I mean, there's a lot of insults you can have. You never, ever want to be told, like if you meet somebody and they're like, hey man, do you take those salt things? It's like, I'm not even sure what you're talking about, but I hate that. Like I'm personally offended. I'm personally attacked. To me, it's the same thing as somebody saying like, hey man, have you ever thought about going on an extreme makeover? Not good. Not good if somebody's leading with that. So someone assuming that you're on some kind of salt supplement, I can promise you right now, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a compliment.
All that, I'm just here for the football part. Their beef can be their beef. It's just interesting. This shouldn't have created the ruckus, shouldn't have created all that. Michael Thomas was always going to be, like I said, released. He just was never coming back. He was always going to be a free agent after this year. And hey, man, hopefully he goes to the AFC and does well.
Yeah.
He's petty, though, man. If he stays in the division,
he is.
It wouldn't shock me. He's a petty guy. He'll probably try to kill us. And we'll talk about the Marshawn Lattimore stuff Actually, we can just talk about a little bit now. If we trade.
All right, we're going to end the video there. We're going to make this all about Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas fits for a lot of teams if he is truly healthy or if he can be healthy. You know, teams like the Chiefs, obviously people have said for a long time, like the Chiefs need a player, and Michael Thomas is that player. You know, teams like the Ravens, team that just go get these kind of veteran wide receivers, makes sense for them. Even a team like Cincinnati. So Cincinnati is right now put the franchise tag on T. Higgins. So they're in kind of the situation where they're trying to figure out if they should pay these wide receivers. Going and getting a receiver like Michael Thomas on a 1-year deal to pair with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase is pretty nasty. Another team, Dallas. Dallas is a team where if they can get someone like Michael Thomas on a pretty short, pretty cheap deal to pair with their receivers and already the offense they have, not bad. What about teams with young quarterbacks who don't have that star receiver? Teams like Green Bay. Go get Jordan Love, someone like Michael Thomas. So there's a lot of teams that a healthy Michael Thomas can impact. And I'm not talking about 2019 Michael Thomas. I'm talking about just play like 12 games. I'm talking about just play a majority of the season. Because when he played last year, he was good. So, Michael Thomas, I think, he still has some good years left in him. It's just all about how healthy he can remain. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Go down in the comments below. We covered a lot of topics. Thank you very much for watching. We're releasing this on a Friday. TGIF. Am I right or am I right, ladies and gentlemen? Enjoy your Friday night. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. 12 years ago, I started YouTube, and now we are taking our biggest step forward in launching what I'm calling the Skrmetta-verse. The Skrmetta-verse is a collection of channels delivering you a massive amount of content no matter what your interests are. Phase 1 includes the launch of 4 brand new channels along with the continued growth of my main channel, which has seen more than 1,500% growth in the last 12 months. Ladies and gentlemen, the concept is simple. I believe that it takes a team of people somewhere else to do what just I can do here. Think about it. Barstool Sports, ton of content, ton of employees. Pat McAfee show, 1 show, 10 employees. What if the same quantity but higher quality of content came from just 1 person? Phase 1 really began with the brand standard, the main channel aptly named James Skrmetta. Nothing changes here. You will still get daily videos focusing on the New Orleans Saints, the NFL, and sports in general. Earlier this month, we rolled out the Madden channel to a huge success. Thank you very much for all the support over there. The Madden channel will continue to focus on how I would run an NFL franchise using the Madden video game series. In the future, we will add more Madden content. We also will roll in NCAA content as NCAA 25 is released later this year. The gaming space is obviously huge for content creators and a huge part of my early content career. On James Skrmetta Gaming, you will find a ton of gaming content featuring Let's Plays, first playthroughs, reaction videos, highlights, gameplay, and much, much more. The one thing I know more than sports is professional wrestling. James Skrmetta Wrestling focuses on all things wrestling discussions, reactions, reviews. All of that can be found on that channel. And the final channel in phase 1 is James Skrmetta Reacts. Over there, the same commentary, analysis, discussion that you know and love. But one caveat, instead of it focusing on sports, any topic is up for grabs. Pop culture, societal events, movies, TVs, you name it, James Skrmetta Reacts will have it. My goal is to create content across every platform for every viewer. And speaking of every platform, we are posting daily on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter/X, and Facebook. That is the best way to stay connected with me in real time and on a daily basis. So go follow the social media accounts. Links, of course, will be in the description. This is a huge step towards our ultimate goal and really only possible because of you, the viewer, because of your support and your engagement. And with your continued support, we can then enter phase 2, which will include more channels, more videos, more content, merchandise, podcasts, and maybe even a return to consistent live streaming. Get involved, go follow the channels, enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next video, no matter what channel it's on.